I was Riverdale's Crown Prince Julian's contract girlfriend for 6 years. I drank for him, smoothed family feuds, even spoon-fed him through the nights after the accident that left him Julian. Everyone sighed that the young master kept a tame sparrow, the sharpest blade in his hand. Again and again he promised me, eyes shining with sincerity, "Serena, wait for me. I'll make you the real Mrs. Voss." 3 months later I flew home from a business trip and saw Julian again in front of his own wake. When I reached the funeral parlor, Julian was cradling his sister-in-law, crooning comfort. The Voss family said Lydia was a once-in-a-century lucky charm. They would let Julian carry on both family lines. The day after the funeral, Julian publicly announced his engagement to Lydia. Yet where the cameras couldn't reach, he clamped an arm around my waist, voice shaking. "Serena, name your price if you'll just stay." I stared at him and suddenly laughed. "Julian, since you're engaged, the contract dies tonight, and so do we." His eyes iced over. He shoved me into the side chamber of the hall. "The term is 8 years. You can't afford the penalty." Later the wedding went ahead anyway. I watched in silence as the sterling bangle he had given me melted into liquid in the flame. I tapped out a quick reply to the message that had just arrived. "Family alliance, yes, I accept." The guests had not yet scattered when I saw Julian yank off his tie. With deliberate carelessness he shrugged out of his tuxedo jacket and tossed it to me. He headed for the bridal prep lounge without looking back. Through the half-open door my former sister-in-law was curled against my boyfriend. Lydia stroked her gently curved belly and smiled up at him. "The doctor says the baby's perfect, don't worry." Eleanor beamed, slipping the ancestral jade bangle onto Lydia's wrist. The fortune teller was right. Since Lydia arrived, Voss went public and now we're getting a grandchild. Unlike Serena, all those years and still no bump. Eleanor's teacup cracked against the mahogany table. Julian bent to kiss Lydia's forehead, voice velvet soft. "You've worked hard." I stared at Lydia's belly, lost for a second. In our 3rd year together I'd found out I was pregnant. The white glare of the clinic ceiling is branded on my memory. He pinned my struggling wrist and said coldly the child would be his weakness. From that instant I made sure nothing ever happened again. And the baby Lydia carries cannot be Julian's. I shut my eyes, desperate to steady myself. By now I had no wish to dig for truth. Julian looked up, saw me, panic flickering. After soothing Lydia he walked toward me, expression wooden. "Serena, you heard. I'll explain when I can." I said nothing, only laid the jacket on the sofa. As I turned to leave, Eleanor's disdainful voice chased me. "Don't forget the cash-stuffed red envelope. The Voss family raised you, learn some gratitude." I looked numbly at Julian. He never lifted his head, busy peeling grapes for Lydia, feeding them to her one by one. A bleak laugh escaped me, as if the man who once stayed up all night when I burned with fever, who held the cup to my lips and swore forever, was someone else. Lydia, silent till now, dabbed reddened eyes and sniffed. Designer labels dripped from her, yet her gaze held no sorrow, only triumph. "Sis, I'm glad you came. No need for a gift, it's all Voss money anyway." I regarded her coolly. "Such a waste you never went into acting." I pulled a stray penny from my pocket and slapped it on the hall table. "Small token, big heart. Don't worry, I found it on the sidewalk. Nothing to do with your Voss coffers." Lydia's face darkened, her stare as sharp as broken glass. Julian frowned. "Serena, you never used to be like this." A pinprick of pain flickered through me, then vanished. Eleanor hurried to comfort Lydia, shooting me a glacial glare. "No upbringing at all. Fed and dressed by us and you dare humiliate Lydia, who do you think you are?" Julian started to speak, hesitated, eyes tangled with conflict. Eleanor seated Lydia and commanded Julian. "Why keep such a woman? Throw her out, now." The next instant Julian looked up, stepped between us, voice low. "No." He glanced sideways at me, emotion unreadable. "She stays, perfect nurse for Lydia. Under my nose she can't make waves." Eleanor snorted and turned away. I walked off, nails carving crescents into my palms. Around the corner, people who once called me friend burst into laughter. "I told you, Serena's just an orphan, no money, no backing. The CEO kept her this long out of charity." Throwing herself at him, so pathetic I could never. They giggled behind manicured hands. I lowered my eyes, a mocking smile on my lips. The moment I stepped outside, a low horn sounded from the sleek limo idling curbside. I quickened my pace. Miss. Once inside, Adrian's personal aide briefed me on his calendar. Mr. Hawthorne returns next week to finalize the handover. Until then, I'm at your disposal. Jason had been with Adrian since the day Adrian took over the company. He had never left. Neon smeared past the tinted glass, and I was thrown back 10 years to a night of rain. I shredded the betrothal contract, crawled out the window, and scaled the Vance family's wrought iron gate barefoot. My mother's sobs sliced through the downpour. "Serena, your grandfather arranged this." My father barked at her, blocking her path. "If she walks out, she never comes back." I couldn't breathe under their dynasty's thumb, so I fled toward the freedom Julian dangled, even if it was only ink on a contract. Turns out freedom was just a prettier cage, and I the fool who flew into it. Quinn, chin high, refusing to let the tears fall. Maybe my absence finally registered. Julian's call lit the screen. His voice carried a note of haste. "Lydia's craving the strawberry shortcake from Bluebird. Be a sweetheart, pick one up." I'm stuck. Why would I? My tone was calm, stripped of heat or jealousy. Silence stretched. Lydia's coy wheedle drifted over the line, and Julian's patience snapped. "It's just cake. Play nice and I'll keep you comfortable for life. Or would you rather go back to broke?" A cold laugh escaped me. When I'd first run away, they froze my cards. I juggled 3 part-time jobs to survive. That's when I met Julian, hiding who I really was. When I stayed silent, his voice took on a wheedling edge. "Serena, you've always said you wanted a child. After the baby is born, you can be its godmother. We'll be one big happy family." I froze, certain I'd misheard him. Julian's patience snapped. He barked a cold order and killed the call. I told Jason to drive me to the Voss estate. I only meant to pack a bag and walk away from the family, from Julian. I had just reached the front doors when roars of laughter exploded inside. A ring of people hovered around Lydia, every face tender. Eleanor spoon-fed her herbal chicken broth, and even Julian's usually arrogant little brother knelt to massage her feet. I had never been treated like that. Once, I'd naively believed hard work could earn their affection. 6 years proved I would never vault the class divide in their eyes. "How dare you show your face?" Eleanor swirled the porcelain bowl with her spoon. "I've told you, someone as common as you should know her place. When you're not wanted, stay tucked in a corner." I didn't answer. I headed for the stairs. Julian's brows crashed together, his face thunderdark. "Serena, a senior speaks to you and you pretend you're deaf." I turned slowly, expression blank. "I heard. I'm merely obeying Eleanor, vanishing from your sight." "Sis, calm down." Lydia darted forward and caught my wrist. My sleeve slipped, baring pale skin. "Come have some cake, ah." The next second she shrieked. She tilted backward in a perfect arc, landing safely in Julian's arms. From that hidden angle her exquisite face flashed pure venom. "Serena, aren't you done making scenes?" He shoved me away. My spine cracked against the banister. I gasped, steadying my throbbing back, while Julian fussed over Lydia. "Lydia, are you hurt? Does anything feel wrong?" "Julian, I'm fine, just worried about the baby." She cupped her belly, tears spilling. Eleanor rushed up, jabbing a finger at me. "Vicious witch. Lydia tried to comfort you and this is how you repay her." I didn't touch her, she fell on her own. The pain forced a hiss through my teeth. I ground out the explanation, knowing no one would believe. Lydia trembled in Julian's arms, clutching the hem of my shirt. Crying prettily, as if the world had wronged her, she said, "Sister, I know you dislike me, but fate chose me. The Voss family has embraced me. I'm only grateful and want the best for them. Please, spare my child." She twisted her face into another wince. Furious, Eleanor snatched her phone and called Dr. Rowan. Julian stared at me with revulsion. "Serena, can't you see the bigger picture? Lydia does everything for the Voss name. You'll spend the next few days in your room, reflecting." I swallowed a scoff and, still pressing my aching back, climbed the stairs. I pushed the half-open door and found the room stripped bare. Mrs. Housekeeper twisted her apron as she followed me into the bedroom closest to Julian's. Her cloudy eyes glimmered, The pity on her face was unmistakable. "The young master ordered it this morning, said nearby is more convenient." The hallway sconce flickered. I smiled and reassured Mrs. Housekeeper, one of the few kind souls in this house. As I turned back, the wall of curated memories caught my eye. Photo after photo of Julian and Lydia's bliss. 3 meals a day, 4 seasons a year. Their bond, it seemed, stretched further than I'd guessed. I brushed a fingertip across the icy gloss. Birthday candle warmth shattered into 1,000 shards. Top left, a screenshot from that transatlantic video 3 months ago. Bottom right, the two of them cuddled, kissing. My lungs seized. Breathing felt impossible. While I'd squeezed my eyes shut to make a wish, the man I loved had been flirting with another woman. My nails dug crescents into my palms. My mouth tasted of iron. A bitter laugh escaped me. At 22, he had knelt in a downpour and sworn to be my umbrella, to shield me for life. Only a few years later, that umbrella was tilting toward her. I slipped into the room and packed swiftly. The scrapbook of lies at the bottom of the suitcase felt like a cruel joke now. I inhaled, stone cold, as Julian burst in. Before I could speak, red-eyed, he seized my throat. "Ruin the gallery wall and then run, is that the plan? Serena, have I spoiled you so much you forgot what you are?" I wrenched free, voice cracked. "I didn't. Show me proof." He ignored me, roaring. All the bottled grief erupted at once. Tears surged. I couldn't stop them. The sight unraveled him. He let go, stunned silent. I coughed, gulping air. Composed again, he tugged me to the shredded photo collage and frowned. "Admit it, apologize, and I'll let it go." I swallowed nausea and smirked at Lydia, gloating in the shadows. "I've said it, produce evidence." She glided forward, magnanimous. "Julian, it's fine. We can have it redone. Don't embarrass sis, I don't mind." Julian's last shred of guilt evaporated. He clamped my wrist, trying to force me to kneel and beg Lydia publicly. I gaped at him, throat burning, and jabbed a shaky finger toward the security feed in the corridor. "Julian, roll the footage, then you'll know who did it." Lydia murmured meekly, "But that camera's broken. It was fixed 2 weeks ago, pull the clip if you don't believe me." Lydia's smile iced over, her nails bit her palm. Suddenly she grabbed Chloe, who was wiping windows. "Chloe must have brushed it by accident, right?" She flashed Chloe a glare while gouging the girl's arm. Chloe shook, head low, apologizing frantically. I'm sorry, it was me." Julian swung to me. "My mistake, Serena." I leaned against the wall, calm. I'm tired." As I walked away, Julian lunged, desperate to explain. But Lydia suddenly called out to him, saying she felt unwell. In the end, he didn't come after me at all. Instead, he swept Lydia into his arms and carried her back to her room. I curved my lips in self-mockery. Julian and I should have drawn a clean line a long time ago. That was the first time I realized the Voss estate's soundproofing was so poor. After a stretch of kissing noises, Lydia's coy voice drifted over. "Julian, I really think I owe Serena an apology for what happened today. After all, I misunderstood her." Julian answered with a doting laugh, his tone lazy. "Lydia, what do you need to apologize to her for? Serena is just someone the Voss family orders around. Whether she deserves an apology is up to us. The contract still has 2 years on it, sure, but I know she won't leave. I can picture her 2 years from now, crying and begging me not to kick her out. Might as well keep her here for life, working like a mule." Lydia purred. "Won't that make you feel sorry for her? As long as you're happy, I don't care about anyone else." While those words floated down the corridor, I packed my last suitcase and walked out in silence. Yet the moment I stepped through the front gate, 2 bodyguards blocked my path. Julian stormed up, smacking me across the face. "Serena, I've obviously spoiled you rotten all these years. How could you be so vicious? Lydia was still wondering whether to apologize to you, and what fun was there in sending her those poisonous, mocking texts at midnight?" "What?" The sudden slap left me dazed. My bewildered question only looked like more play acting to him. "Still pretending? Open your eyes and read this." On the phone screen was a screenshot, line after line of filthy curses and even death wishes. The sender used my avatar, my screen name, yet it wasn't me. I clutched my suitcase so hard my nails screeched against the metal. Serena, you never used words like these before. Julian's voice felt like a dagger dipped in venom. Now, though? Your jealousy is so ugly you can spit this kind of sewage. Lydia thinks about us every second, while you think only about yourself, selfish to the bone. Ignoring my protests, he kicked my suitcase aside and dragged me upstairs to apologize to Lydia. Let go of me. I never said any of that. The angrier he became, the harder he slammed his phone down, gashing my ankle till it bled. I lowered my head, forcing myself to stay calm, but tears slid out anyway. Julian, just let me go. Every piece of armor I wore shattered at that instant. It was the first time I had spoken to him in a tone close to pleading. He froze, the pressure on my wrist slackening. Eyes bloodshot, I stared into his and forced the words through a sob. You pass sentence without even asking what happened. Julian, use your brain. Anyone could fake that chat and slap my name on it. I paused, a broken laugh scraping my throat. He tried to speak, I cut him off. If the one being trashed right now were me, would you run to Lydia for justice, or would you simply scold me for making a scene? His pupils quivered. Even when the truth was obvious, he refused to admit those weren't my words. He looked down, voice weakening. She's not the sort to do that. I laughed bitterly. And I am. Less than a second later, a scream came from upstairs. Hurry. The mistress has cut herself. He bolted up the stairs, face ashen, and rushed back down carrying Lydia, her wrist scarcely seeping blood. Eleanor grabbed me by the hair and slapped me hard. Someone tie this bitch up. Serena, if one word you sent harms the baby in Lydia's belly, you'll never set foot outside the Voss estate again. They flung me into a dark, damp cellar. I beat on the door until my palms burned, but outside was dead silence. I crawled onto a crate, forced the window open, and squeezed through, slipping away without pause. The whole escape went astonishingly smoothly. The second I climbed into the waiting car, Lydia sent me a photo of the entire family gathered at her bedside. Sorry, sis, I really didn't mean for that to happen. One by one I coldly blocked the throwaway accounts firing taunts at me. Then Eleanor's call lit up the screen, every word steeped in contempt. Serena, I assume you've left the estate. If the child hadn't been fine, do you think we'd have let you go so easily? As long as you stay away from Julian, I'll pay the breach fee myself. If you don't, your life in this house will be pure hell. Fine, I'm leaving right now. I agreed without hesitation. The instant I hung up, I cheerfully blocked every Voss-related number and slept like a baby. At dawn Adrian rang. Slept well? I surveyed the suite, decorated exactly the way I liked, and a strange warmth bubbled up inside me. Come down for breakfast when you're ready, and the wardrobe upstairs is stuffed with clothes you'll actually wear. Wait for me, I'll be back soon. I couldn't help a soft laugh. The night before, as Jason escorted me to the villa, he had said plenty. I'd never imagined that while I was wasting my youth and crashing to rock bottom, Adrian had been standing silently behind me all along, waiting for me to turn around. Across town, in a corridor of St. Camilla's Hospital, Julian stood in a corner, a small mountain of cigarette ash at his feet. A full day had passed and he still couldn't grasp why there was no trace of me. At last he hit send on a message he'd edited 100 times, only to be greeted by a stark red exclamation mark. He clenched his fists and dialed the housekeeper. Where's Serena? Young master. We took our eyes off her for a moment and she slipped away. Eyes bloodshot, Julian smashed his fist into the wall. Useless, all of you. Is she out of her mind? How on earth could she afford that penalty? The next second, his phone chimed. A transfer for the exact amount had landed in his account. Julian froze, the device clattering to the floor, echoing down the hallway. A bad premonition clawed at him. He floored the accelerator all the way back to the Voss estate. He combed every room, finding only emptiness. With a bitter laugh he raked his hands through his hair, then scrambled to the corner where he spotted a Dustcoat album. Each page he turned darkened his face another shade. Every photograph showed him playing a solo act. Serena was never really there. No. Serena can't leave me. He bellowed in a cracked voice. When the search results on his phone confirmed the truth, fury flooded his eyes. Mother, why did you do this? Eleanor, who had long braced for this moment, didn't even look up. Since you've married Lydia, treat her properly. Parking some random woman in the house, what kind of family image is that? Isn't this finally the warning bell you needed? If it happened once, it will happen again. Next time she'll use some new trick to hurt my precious grandson. Julian's mind flashed back to the night I'd confronted him, and his lungs seized for a moment. Mom, she's not that kind of person. Sandalwood collided with the damp of a summer storm. Prayer beads cracked against the coffee table. I only let her stay because of you. Say whatever you want now, she has to leave. Julian hung his head, fists bunching the hem of his shirt, but not a sound escaped him. Up from downstairs drifted the scent of caramel brioche. Beyond the folding screen, a man's long fingers were arranging plates with surgical care. Awake. Adrian's voice, cool, adult, floated in. The strawberry hair tie I'd left at his house when I was 14 still circled his left wrist. I couldn't meet his eyes. About that betrothal contract. No rush. He cut me off, his cuff brushing the back of my hand. Let's catch a movie later. The franchise you loved just dropped a new sequel. The instant the theater darkened, he stretched an arm across the back of my seat, veins stark. When the roller coaster dive came, he shielded my bangs without being asked. At the horizon, sunset was folding into night. I clutched a half-melted cone, staring at the tiny figure high above me. Minutes earlier, hesitation had frozen my feet. Adrian smiled at me, indulgent. Then I'll go first. Without a second thought, he hurled himself off the skyjump tower, free as a hawk slicing open the sky. He kept cheering me on, staying beside me, nudging me to try everything I'd always been afraid of. I breathed freely, screaming out every injustice I'd swallowed for years. I let the past go and made peace with the girl I used to be. When the Ferris wheel crested, he leaned in suddenly. I flinched, back pressing to the cold glass. Our breaths mingled. The cramped capsule smelled of cedar from his collar. Hold still. He plucked a strand of cotton candy from my hair, knuckles grazing my ear. Serena, your parents miss you. When you're ready, I'll take you home. Heat flooded my cheeks, so this strange flutter was what liking someone felt like. Walking back into the Vance mansion with Adrian, I realized nothing I'd done could sever the bond of family. To get up to speed on the company, I'd been camping at the office. When I woke, Adrian was the one keeping vigil. His suit jacket lay over my shoulders, slender fingers resting against my palm, dying to touch yet terrified. I curled my hand around his, and his eyes flew wide in disbelief. Serena. I laughed out loud. I knew exactly who Adrian was. Years had passed, and he was still the quiet boy who spoke with actions instead of words. An ill-timed notification pinged. Julian had switched numbers again, badgering me for clues. Serena, where the hell are you? Stop ghosting me. I'll forgive you, just show up within 3 days. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Serena, please come back. I miss you. Serena. The man beside me growled the name, jealousy thick. Scowling, he blocked Julian and turned away like a sulky kid. Those doe eyes flicked back to me, suddenly adorable. I cupped that near-perfect face and kissed him. The instant our lips met, Adrian sucked in a breath, then flipped us, claiming my mouth. I thought the kiss would deepen. Instead he stopped, crushing me to his chest. Voice raw with restraint, he whispered, Serena, wait a little longer. Wait until we file the license, until we're married, until your heart is completely mine. After that day, Adrian and I rode an emotional roller coaster. I was in the lobby picking a venue when ice shot down my spine. Couldn't stay away, could you? You've stalked me all the way to the baby's 1-month banquet. Julian's watch bit into my wrist. Lydia, glowing from confinement, looked younger and richer than ever. She hooked her arm through Julian's and cooed, Sis, come tomorrow, we all miss you. Sean keeps asking for you. He already knows how much you cared before he was born. I let the name roll off my tongue in a cold murmur, secrets intact. Julian stared down at me like a king granting favors. Come home and I'll forgive everything. The moment the words left his mouth, Lydia's smile froze. She shifted, sugar-voiced, to his ear. Julian, Mom just calmed down. Dragging her back so suddenly might not be wise. Besides, Big Sis may not even want to return. In a single blink I saw pure irritation flare in Julian's eyes. I watched him shake Lydia off without mercy. Lydia, you're overstepping. What happens between Serena and me is none of your business. It was the first time Julian had ever spoken to her like that. Lydia's eyes reddened, she bit her lip and muttered only when his back was turned. Since she couldn't attack Julian, she aimed at me instead. Her gaze turned razor-sharp, each glance a blade. I'd noticed long ago. The second Julian saw me, his hands started shaking. After Lydia voiced his fear, his eyes watered. He was terrified I'd leave, terrified I'd vanish for good. But fear changes nothing. Everything he'd done had already driven me away. Julian, we ended a long time ago. That place is not my home, I'm not going back. Julian staggered, tears pooling. Serena, I want us the way we were. Don't you remember? Meals, trips, anything you wanted. I shook my head and jabbed a finger toward Lydia, whose face had gone ashen. What about her? Only then did Julian remember we had an audience. He reined himself in. He couldn't look at me, his gaze skittered everywhere. Serena, don't make this harder, please. I laughed coldly, not a shred of nostalgia left. Julian, are you deaf? We are done, utterly, completely done. We owe each other nothing. I won't invade your life, so stop hunting mine. I spun on my heel, gunned the engine, and sped away. Lydia ran after Julian. When the Porsche's taillights disappeared, her brows pinched. Where did Sis get that car? Even a rental costs a fortune. Could it be? Julian heard the insinuation loud and clear. The moment he watched me step into the car, the veins on the back of his hand had already bulged in fury. Back home, Adrian thoughtfully ran a bath for me. While I lay in his arms, Julian, for whatever reason, kept calling non-stop. Finally Adrian lost patience and pressed accept. Serena, I love you, I won't let you fall for another man. Please come BA. Shut up. Call again and I'll make the Voss group disappear. Through the moonlight outside the window I saw Adrian's clenched jaw. The line went dead, and Julian never called back. The next morning my assistant's frantic voice jerked me from sleep. Miss. The trending tabloid blast just drop. What blast? That you and your backer have been making shady deals over and over. On my way out, near the mall corner, a drunk Julian blocked the road to Voss. The instant he saw me, his eyes flushed scarlet. Serena, how could you betray me? I loved you so much, yet you keep pushing my limits. What, is he richer? Better looking? That desperate? You were never this hungry when you were with me. Julian's face darkened further with every ugly sentence. My patience for him had finally hit zero. I swung a slap across his cheek, still furious, then kicked his shin hard. Julian, have you no shame? So in your eyes I'm that kind of woman? Hissing in pain, he steadied himself and slowly calmed. Then, to my shock, he bent and begged. Serena, since you left I haven't stopped thinking of you. Have you forgotten the 6 years we shared? I laughed coldly. If you remember, why did you hurt me again and again? Did you think I couldn't leave? Julian's face went white. At that instant Lydia's call rang out. Julian, come home. Sean's spitting up milk. Is the whole Voss household useless? Stop bothering me with everything. He cut the call in irritation, seized my wrists, and pinned them to the wall. Like a man possessed he tried to claim me. Broad daylight be damned. Julian, let go. The pressure vanished the next second. Adrian's fist sent Julian sprawling. He pulled me into his arms, murmuring, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." All my grievances poured out at once. Adrian wiped my tears, the veins on his forearms standing out. Before Julian could react, Adrian landed punch after punch until blood ran from his mouth. Watching me gaze only at Adrian, Julian felt his heart ripped open. He knew exactly who Adrian was, yet he had to fight for the woman he once loved. Staggering up, Julian spoke carefully. Serena, can we go back? Come back to me and I'll send them, mother and child, abroad. I checked Adrian's bruised knuckles and answered calmly. I already love someone else. Don't waste your breath. And Julian, remember, your status doesn't qualify you to stand beside me. With that, I took Adrian's hand and walked away without a backward glance. Back home, Adrian held me as though terrified of losing me again. Serena, I'm sorry I didn't protect you well enough. I patted his back, soothing him softly. An hour later the internet exploded. The CEO of a top global firm announced my identity as the real heiress. Riverdale's sole Hawthorne Group simultaneously declared me their daughter-in-law. Adrian, who never appeared in public, showed up at the press conference to back me. Investigation revealed every lie online had been fabricated by Lydia. Netizens and passers-by turned on her en masse. The Vance and Hawthorne families moved fast. Within half an hour, Lydia's history of juggling sugar daddies surfaced. Her so-called heaven-sent lucky womb and sacred horoscope were frauds. The fortune-teller was merely her gambling-addicted brother fresh out of Riverdale. Everything settled at last. Adrian and I held a grand wedding. While I waited in the bridal prep lounge, an uninvited guest arrived. Unshaven, hair disheveled, Julian stood behind me, staring. "Serena, you look breathtaking today." I was wrong to trust Lydia's lies. "Give me one more chance, please look back." Tears streaming, he knelt and pleaded sentence after sentence. Before I could answer, security rushed in and dragged him out. The ceremony went ahead without a hitch. After seeing off the guests, I went to the subterranean garage to fetch something. A speeding car barreled straight at me. Julian, appearing from nowhere, shoved me aside and was flung to the asphalt in a pool of blood. The Vance and Hawthorne families launched an immediate investigation. They sent the fugitive Lydia to Riverdale. Soon word came that she had been assaulted inside, attempted suicide, and lost her mind. The Voss group teetered on collapse amid the scandal. Desperate to save it, Julian drank his way through meetings until his stomach gave out. Tests showed stomach cancer. He collapsed on the street and was carried to St. Camilla's Hospital. When he pried his eyes open, a familiar face swayed in the haze. The taste of iron welled in his throat. "Serena, Shan." Before he could finish, Adrian draped a coat over my shoulders. The diamond on his left ring finger flashed blindingly. Julian loosened his clenched fists and stared at the white ceiling, tears falling without a sound. "How are they?" Adrian's arm circled my waist. Beneath the fabric our babies gave a tiny kick. My lashes trembled as I smiled and stroked the bump. "These boy-girl twins are kicking up a storm." Adrian beamed, proud beyond words. "Amazing, right?" I laughed until my sides hurt, raining praise on him. "Let's call them Star and Sky, okay?" I tilted my head, happiness in my eyes I'd never known before. He kissed my forehead gently. "Whatever you say, wife." From the corner of my eye I saw that vein-ridged, trembling hand fall limp. He and I were never meant to walk the same road. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.